Hi everybody, I'm at Dishman Quarry in Orange County, Indiana, and this is the Mansfield Formation here. Doesn't really look like much, and the outcrop's not good enough to do any sort of real architectural element analysis here, but there are some interesting facies to these rocks that are different from what you've seen elsewhere. And I'll just take you to some of the parts of the outcrop that are interesting. We'll come over to this fallen slab here first. And you should all be able to see that there are some nice current ripples exposed here. This chunk of rock has fallen from the quarry wall, and so it's impossible to get a paleocurrent direction from this because we don't know what its original orientation was, but these are ripples. There's my hand for scale, ripple marks on that surface, and they're current ripples. They have a long upstream side and a really short downstream side. All of the rock here is siltstone. It's a lot finer grained than what we saw at either Turkey Run or Kegel's Mill. I get up close and show you. There's my finger for scale, and you cannot see the grains without magnification. They are siltstone. In addition to current ripples on some bedding surfaces here, we also have quite a few fossils, and here's one right here. I think you might be able to make that out. This long feature right here, and if I get in close, you can see the texture on it. I'll show you a few more of those. Here's a pretty detailed piece here. There's my finger for scale. You can see the texture there. These are impressions of tree bark left behind in the sediment, and this particular type of tree was a tree fern that made enormous forests in North America during the Carboniferous. It's called a lepidodendron, and all of these pieces are lying down parallel to bedding, and they just simply left impressions in the siltstone. Come over to some of these boulders, angular blocks lying around the quarry here. We can maybe find some other interesting features. We're looking now at a bedding plane, so there's my shadow. I'll try and keep my shadow out of the way. And on this bedding plane, you can see some circular features. There again is my finger for scale. If we get in close to those, you can see that the interior of those circular features has a granular texture that's unlike the texture of the siltstone that surrounds them. Those are Burrows of the genus Ophiomorpha, and Ophiomorpha is burrows like this are made by shrimp that burrows in fine-grained detrital sediment, and these are dwelling burrows, and the granular texture owes its origin to the fact that this species of shrimp, in the modern day anyway, packs the walls of its burrow with fecal pellets to stabilize the sediment, and that's what that granular texture probably is. Here we can see some of the bedding in this sediment. You can see those thin beds, finger again for scale here. Thin parallel beds of siltstone a little bit of soft sediment deformation in some of these beds. Here is another bedding plane surface, and on this one you can see a lot of what appear to be little spines. Try and ignore the shadows there. And those would be the spines from those lepidodendron trees that simply fell into the sediment, were buried, and left an imprint. I'll walk you over to a block that displays the bedding pattern in this sediment quite well. This one right here, and others around it. So there's a bedding surface, and then right here is the bedding in this siltstone. And one of the things that I'd like you to take note of is that the bedding is fairly thin here, but as I move down further along the outcrop, it thins even further. And that thickening and thinning follows a regular pattern, which we'll explore a little bit further when we walk up to the next exposure higher up in this quarry complex. This one's called Dishman Quarry, and in the next video I'm going to walk you up to Hopper Quarry. Alright, I'm going to go for a second and I'll be right back.